on a Tuesday, don't they? Joining us in studio now, we have with us from Camp Kamassa, Mary Kitchens joins us. How are you today, Mary?
I'm just wonderful. Thank you.
I can tell. You just came perking right in here, and it just brightened the room up when you walked in. Did a good job. Now, Camp Kamassa is, I think it would be fair to say, a passion project for a lot of people, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about it and a little bit about how it got started.
Okay. We didn't know it got started in 1977, but it actually did, because then our 3-year-old son was diagnosed with cancer. And he was very sick, of course, for a couple of years. He had several surgeries. He had radiation, chemo. He did survive. And today grown, married, and has children. But we were thrown into a world we had never been a part of that with very sick children, and into the Children's Hospital in Jackson. In 1984, our state had its very first camp for children with cancer, and our son Dan was one of the campers. It was a 3-day camp. They had about 30 kids, and he had a fabulous time. So he went to that camp. He continued to go, and then when he got out of high school, he became a counselor. He has a brother 14 months older who became a counselor, and a brother 3 years younger who became a counselor. And so they have still a part of that camp all of these years, 30 plus 40, I'm not sure how many, a long time. And over those years, I've been the camp director, and I've been involved in the camp. So this camp, which is called Camp Rainbow for children with cancer, has been around a while, but it's also had to move a lot. Since 1984, from that first camp, they've moved 7 times.
Oh, wow. Every
time you move, you've got the medical staff who goes to the camp apprehensive, because a regular church camp or state park, they don't need an infirmary because they're giving out a Band-Aid to a healthy kid. So they don't know what they're going to find. A lot of camps renovate, or they don't renovate, but they call a cabin the infirmary while the kids are there. So you don't have what you need. I even know camps in our state where the nurses have to keep medicine in ice chests in their car because there's no place. You can't put them in a refrigerator with regular food. Or they're having to bathe children in their bathing suits, but outside in kiddie pools because they can't get them in the bathroom showers because those children need someone to help hold them up. So there are a lot of problems when you use camps that weren't built for children with special needs. So we were moving again, and this was about the mid-2000s. About 2005, 6. And so our family started saying, somebody ought to build one facility that not just cancer, but sickle cell, muscular dystrophy, children that are blind, autism, arthritis, all these kids could come to one place to hold camp. Because our wonderful state has about 24 camps, but people don't own their own camp. They use someone else's, like a church's camp. And we had two. We'd use several different ones, and state parks. And so they just aren't accessible for your children.
Well, they weren't designed for that use.
Not at all. Not at all. You can't blame them at all. And then a lot of times you'll be using it, and the camp will need the week they've let you use for their own camp, their own Baptist children, Methodist, Presbyterian children, and that's fair. That's who they built their camp for. So we thought someone ought to do something. And as happens in my experience, after a while, God can kind of hit you in the head and say, quit talking about somebody oughta, and you go do it. Well, I'd been a school teacher. I didn't know a thing about raising money or building a camp, but I believed God would help if I would agree, if I would be obedient and do it. I think the smartest thing I did was I started visiting camps in other states. And I've been to 14 camps in different states, from Kentucky and North Carolina, Texas, Florida, all in between. And there's some wonderful camps out there. Mississippi just didn't have one. And they were so willing to share their information and share their ideas and let me take pictures and develop relationships with a lot of these camps then, and that have kept going. So I learned a lot from visiting these other places. So we came back in 2008. We became a 501c3. We formed a board. We started looking for land. We wanted relatively flat land, so you'd have to fill in a bunch of gullies, and a timber company had land for sale in 2012 we heard about. So in 2013, we borrowed money from the bank, and we 326 acres, And we started raising money to pay for that land to build a camp on. And, we worked, that's basically what we were doing during that time, was raising money to pay for the land. And $650,000, and about 2017, we had it raised. We had the money and we paid for the land. We were really proud of ourselves and patting ourselves on the back, but it's a big jump from $650,000 to $28 million, and that's what we knew the facility would cost. Yeah,
that's a lot steeper hill to climb. But I do want to stop for a second and highlight something you said, because this is so important. Everybody falls into this trap of saying, somebody ought to do something, or that has kind of morphed a little bit. It's no longer somebody. Now everyone says we need to do something. But they never seem to include themselves in the we. We now means the same that somebody used to mean. And what it takes is people who say, somebody oughta, and then they realize, wait a minute, I'm somebody. Yeah. I can do this. And that's what happened here.
Yeah, well, somebody had to. And thankfully, and I've been so blessed that I got the privilege and the joy of being in, I guess, So, that was great. Yeah, we're on our way. We're doing something. We had also been talking to the CBs on our coast about if they would maybe help us dig a lake on our land. We didn't really realize how many regulations we'd have to go through first, but we had hoped they would help us. And so we had hired someone in our office as Director of Development named Tanya Mohawk, and her husband was full-time National Guard, Army National Guard. Her father had been a CB. She understood. I thought maybe she knew how to speak military better than I did, because I was talking to him, but it wasn't going anywhere. She didn't just send them the picture of the lake. She sent them all of our plans, because by then the camp was designed. I knew exactly what I wanted it to look like, so we had all the design for it. She sent it to them. They looked at it and they said, we can do so much better than that. There is a program through the Department of Defense where the military, all branches of the military, will come work in a community as training for deployment. The CBs sent our plans to the Pentagon. To me, that's a really big deal that the Pentagon has now heard of us.
Yes.
And so they started calling, and they were interested in what we were doing. Tanya filled out this huge application, and we were late getting it in because we didn't know it existed. But she got it in, and we decided, we ought to go meet these people. So Tanya and I and our mayor went to Washington. Well, we learned you can't walk up to the Pentagon.
I was about to ask, how did you get in the Pentagon?
We didn't.
Okay.
We didn't. We got at a place called Pentagon City, which is just outside. And we met with the top people, though, with this program. It's called Innovative Readiness Training. And it is a program that started during Bill Clinton. He said the military, during their 2 weeks, the National Guard, during their 2 weeks summer training, ought to go do something productive for a community instead of working on the base. So he started the program, and that's what we benefited from. So we talked to them. We didn't know how it was going to go. They couldn't tell us anything. And we got back home, and in about 5 days they called, and they said, well, a program that we were going to do in 2018 fell through. So instead of coming to you in 19 like we thought they were going to do, they said, if we come in 18, do you have the money? Because we have to pay for every bit of the building supplies that they use. Well, I lied, and I said, oh, yes, we have the money.
That's what you have to do in that situation, right?
It just was appropriate. And then the next thing they wanted to know is we had to have environmental and cultural studies done, and they wanted to know if we could have them ready, and I lied. And I said, absolutely. Well, I didn't know that we couldn't. I just knew they usually took a year, and we had just barely started on them. So we've told them all these things, yes, come on, we can do it. And immediately, all these people in uniform started coming in our office to talk to us and to make plans about doing, this program. So, it just snowballed. And from there, we've just, with their help, we have built a camp.
Well, I tell you what, if you can hang on through the break, we'll continue because I want to get some more. We've got a text or two about it. Somebody saying the lake looks good at the entrance, who has been by there, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Mary Kitchens, who may not speak military, but she speaks government really well. She is on her way to becoming a professional liar for a good cause. We'll continue talking to her live in the Element Wealth Studios on middays, right after Element Wealth Studios. If this were the WWE, this would be Mary Kitchen's walkout music, Lion Eyes by the Eagles. Welcome back, Mary, with Camp Kamassa. And we heard the history of it, and I love the other part of this that I wanted to call out is that a lot of times we have opportunities and we have things that pop up, and we either on purpose or accidentally don't acknowledge that it's an opportunity to do something. And you started off by saying, well, it started in 1977. We didn't know it, but it did. And sometimes that's the way things work, though, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think our lives are pretty well planned out, and I believe in God, so I believe God has been planning it out, and He knew in 77. Can I tell you a quick story about my son?
Most definitely.
I think for some people this would really, be meaningful. He's 3 years old. He's got cancer. He's got all these tubes attached to him, and we're sitting on a Saturday morning at the hospital, and I know it was Saturday because cartoons were on, and a commercial came on. And during that commercial, my son said, "Mama, why'd God give me cancer?" We had never said one word to that child about God doing that. So
he didn't ask the easy ones, does he?
No. So I'm doing this quick prayer, and I told him, well, Dan, God likes for his children to talk to him. And a lot of people had quit talking to him. They kind of ignored God, but now they're talking to him because they're praying for you. And he said, oh, cool. Commercial was over. That was the end of it. About a year later, our pastor got sick, and he had cancer, and Dan wanted me to help him write a letter to the preacher. So I wrote down exactly what Dan told me to, and he said, "Preacher, the reason you have cancer is because nobody in your church is praying anymore."
Well, that perked him up. Yes, perfect.
Oh, anyway, he passed that on to the preacher.
Yeah, that's a real spirit lifter for the preacher there, I think. But out of the mouths of babes, as they say.
Innocence. Mm-hmm.
They don't mean anything by it. They're just shooting straight the way they see it.
Right.
Now, we did get a text on the C Spire text line that I was talking about. It said the lake looks good at the entrance. Seems to be a lot of work going on. Glad to see it. Grew up passing the area going to deer camp. Another big plus is it's close to Calling Panther. It is a fantastic project. And the other aspect of this I want to make sure that we focus on is you're improving the state of Mississippi. You're improving that area, but you're improving the state overall by developing this camp.
Well, I'd like to point out something else. We've had the military involved since 2018. Now, in 2020, they didn't get anything done. Those
Nobody
travel
did.
ban. Nothing
we
happened.
Didn't get anything done.
No, the world changed for a little while. But anyway, so we've had them coming, and this summer we have them coming for the last time. Because by next summer, we hope to start having a few camps. We have not had any camps yet. But anyway, the military, because of them they're buying food here, renting equipment here, bedding here. Lately, it's been in hotels, but it was in tents or whatever. And then different things they bought when they've been here, their trips to Vicksburg. They have put back into the Mississippi economy over $12 million.
Wow.
So it hasn't just been a physical improvement, and it's going to mean an improvement to children's lives. They have actually put money back into our economy because they've been renting about $1 million worth of heavy equipment every year. They pay for that. And so, we've been giving back. Not many charities can give back like that.
No, not many charities have that big of an economic impact before they even really get started.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because you said you're hoping next year you can start having a couple?
We can have a few camps. We're going to kind of get our feet wet in February of next year, and then hopefully we can. What we don't have right now. Let me tell you first what we do have. We have 8 cabins, and those 8 cabins can sleep 160 people. Every cabin is wide doors, bathrooms designed for children, and there are no steps anywhere at the whole camp. There are also 6 family cabins that are built. Each family cabin has 6 rooms in it. Each room will house 4 people, and each room has its own bathroom. So these where families can come. We also have an open-air rec building that will have basketball and tennis and things in it. We also have a multi-purpose building that isn't completed but will be completed this year, and it will have enough activities in it that children can spend the whole day in there and have different things to do all day. There'll be a music room, ceramic room, woodworking room, dance area, library, cooking area, all kind of things. And we have a maintenance barn that is also ready. The maintenance barn has got areas where camps can store their supplies in that building from year to year. Right now, a lot of them put them in U-Hauls or different places. So these are things that we have done. What we have not finished is our infirmary and our cafeteria and a swimming pool. And those are the 3 things I think we have to have before we can open camp. We have the money to build the infirmary. We've got that. We're working toward getting the money for the other 2. We look for grants. Of course, we have campaigns to raise money, and we have a car show coming up the last Saturday in June, and then there's a golf tournament in October the 5th, at a 5K run. Those mainly get our name out there more than they actually raise money, but they are a wonderful opportunity to do that. So
I would just like to say, and Mary would not be shy about doing this. I'm just going to beat her to the punch. They will also accept checks.
Oh, absolutely.
Cash is fine. If you want to show up with a stack of 20s, they will take it off your hands.
Oh, absolutely.
Just whatever you got. Bitcoin? Will you take Bitcoin?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Thought I needed to ask.
Maybe there's a way I could get that. I don't know. I don't think so, but I would much prefer cash, checks, even credit cards. I mean, we have a lot of different ways that we do. Of course, we take donations. We have actually, this past summer, we bought another additional 100 acres. So we now have 426 acres. And the only reason we did that was because the land is forest land, bordered our land just within yards of our cabins, and people hunted in there. Wonderful deer hunting area, but we don't want them deer hunting that close to our camp. So we bought it, and we can have special deer hunts in there for our children and adults.
Oh, that's great.
So we're going to use it. We're thrilled to have it, but we just didn't want someone else using it.
Well, it's deer hunting country, and somebody texted in and asked, said, "Where is this located?" You're just right south of here in Crystal Springs.
That's right. That's right. We're actually 8 miles northwest of Crystal Springs, and you pass Colin Panther Lake on the way to our camp. And by the way, Colin Panther is the same word as Capaya, which is the county we're in. Kamassa, the name of our camp, we call the Choctaws. We asked them for a word that meant tough, to persevere under difficulties, and not to give up, because that describes our campers. And they gave us the word Kamassa. So we love the name, and that's more fun for a kid to say they're going to Camp Kamassa than to have to say our original name, which was Mississippi's Toughest Kids Foundation.
Yeah, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, that's a mouthful. So we're Camp Kamassa, and that's where that name came from. But the lake originally was going to be in the back. We've decided to make that area that was going to be into the lake our equestrian center. And in the front, we have about a 5-acre lake that you can see from the road. Geese have seen it from the road, and we understand they bring in things we don't want, but we have now put our first fish into the lake. They're really fish bait. And so this summer we'll start stocking our lake up there in the front.
That is fantastic. Now, if somebody wants to get involved and help you in whatever way they can, how do they get a hold of you? How do they go about becoming a part of this?
Well, I'd love just to give you my cell number, which is 601-750-3457. But our office number, 601-892-1117. And they call the office and talk to me, or they talk to other people in the office. We only have 2 full-time staff members in the office. We have 4 part-time, and then we have a maintenance man that we hired several years ago that's always out at the camp, and he's full-time. So our staff, there's always people in the office, though, and you can call there or you can text us. We have a website. We're also on Facebook, and we would just love for people to look up information about us. We have several YouTube videos, and there's a Camp Kamassa video, YouTube station that you can look at videos about us. And Actually, if you pass our office in one of our big picture windows, there's a big TV, and it's always got videos going of the camp.
Oh, that's a good idea. I like that. I
love to get stopped at the stoplight so I can watch it a while.
The website is Camp Kamassa. It's spelled Kamassa, 2 S's, .com. You can go over there. You can find out more. Hoping to get a few camps going next year. What's your very rough timeline for getting everything fully operational and going? When do you hope to have that done by?
It should be easy to do it by 2025. We may not have everything completed. Like we have a wonderful creek that runs through the back of the camp that's fed by springs, and we want to utilize that. And that may take a little longer. The baseball field may take a little longer. There's some things that we're also going to have an agritourism area in the front, with growing Christmas trees and a pumpkin patch and pumpkins and a corn maze and stuff. So some things may not come quite as fast.
Yeah, it takes a little time. Mary Kitchens, glad to meet you.
You too.
Great to have you on here.
Thank you.
And keep us updated, okay?
I'd love to. Thank you.
Fantastic. We'll continue on middays in the Element Wealth Studio.